Vice Chancellors, distinguished, if I can say, practitioners in the field of education, health, and urban and e-governance who are sitting in front. First of all, I'd like to thank Vijayawada ji for organizing this workshop and giving me an opportunity to be part of this exercise. It is difficult for me now to share my many experiences because Sunita has already outlined much of what is being done in the department. I'll share some of my thoughts and experiences instead of what I can say innovation, because what I genuinely feel that most of the things which we have been attempting in the last few months are trying to implement some good practices. I would not even go to the extent of saying best practices, because only time will tell whether they are best or not, but we feel that they are good and they should be implemented. We have started with them. One of the other related thing, how do we go about it, what triggers us to go? When it comes to innovation, I am reminded of an ad few years back I saw, but still I remember it. It was the ad of an airline agency which said, when was the last time that you did something for the first time? When was the last time that you did something for the first time? The ad and the company had a different objective of having this line, but that is what one should ask oneself at regular intervals, in personal life and also in professional life. If we continue to ask this question to ourselves, we would be attempting something worthwhile for our society. And one of the initiatives which we have taken, I will call it, I've only tried to implement one good practice which is already being implemented in the northern states, which is the introduction of human values curriculum in our higher education. The story of it was, I joined the department in January. In February, I was lucky to be invited to what they call International Conference on Human Values in Hyderabad. I was invited for the valedictory session only, but somehow the previous day, which was a Sunday, I went and sat on the other side throughout the day, observing what was being discussed there. What I found was that this course or program had brought about a real change in the behavior of many teachers and many students who were part of it in approximately 300 to 400 engineering and professional colleges in North India, which included some districts of Punjab, Haryana, UP. Then the thought came to me, when it can be there where we feel things are not that good, why can't we have it in our state? I discussed at that time with the main coordinator in IIIT, where this program was held, how much time it requires for preparation. He told about 8 months to 1 year. So I was not very hopeful that we would be able to start it. Fortunately, if I can say, the drive and commitment of our commissioner and all the team in the commissionerate, we were able to do the preparatory work in the last 3 months approximately, which included orientation, training at different levels of more than also. This was I'll not still call it a best practice. You have to see how it eventually evolves in the coming year. That will be the real test. Not only how it is taught, but how the students start looking at things differently. That will be a real test for this. We'll be seeking, if I can say, cooperation, commitment of a large number of our faculty to start making this program a success in the coming years. Some of the other things which I'm fortunate Sunita didn't mention, otherwise I would not have had the opportunity to talk about it. But basically how to do the job better. We are all aware how our higher education sector is. It is not much, if I can say, to talk about when it comes to quality. I know of it because except me, all my other family members, that means brothers, sister, parents, they were all in teaching in either degree college or universities. So much of it I have acquired the status through, if I can say, evening social talk with them. Higher education requires, if I can be very, teaching and research. Both the things are at an inadequate, this thing at many places, I'll put it, many places. There are very good teachers, there are very good students, but overall scenario, I'll talk of Andhra Pradesh state. There was a survey in one of the magazines which I keep on showing to whoever comes to my office. Andhra Pradesh state does not figure, none of the government institutions of Andhra Pradesh state figure in the top 50 of the arts, commerce, education in the country, which is not a happy situation to be. In the top 50, there are 3-4 colleges. They are private colleges who figure. Taking a clue from that, we have started asking our vice chancellors to identify 2 departments only. For the new universities, we have approximately 20 universities in the general education. 10 of them are old, 10 of them are new. New means less than 10 years. So I have started asking them to identify 2 departments at the university level where they feel that the teaching staff is better, research oriented, students are better, they can be motivated, to bring them to some level of national recognition. The older universities have 1 or 2 departments, 7 of them. I have asked them to increase this number to about 5. There was another survey which I read only last week in, if I remember the magazine, Outlook. It was some kind of a, if one can say, perceptive ranking of the universities. One of the, I think we have 5 universities out of top 50. At one level it was okay, but at another level when we go into details, it was not a good feeling because the top 2 universities were Delhi University and JNU with a point of about 1,980. The third university in the country was with a point average of about 650. The best university in the state, I would not name because there were others also much nearer to that, was at the point average of 450. So even though it was in the top 20, but it was 450 compared to 1,980 of these 2 top universities, and the third being so low below at 650 approximately. So instead of these kind of workshops, we look for good practices which we can emulate, which we can take them back and with our own modifications adapt them to our circumstances. Another practice which we have started is, if I can say, emphasis on research by the professors and assistant professors and associate professors. At one level, it's a very difficult thing for any professor to be questioned on what he's doing. I know from my parents, from my brothers and sisters, they immediately start criticizing, making fun of the bureaucracy. We don't do anything. They say, you don't do anything, you only tell us that kind of this thing. So like my sounding board is my own family, if I can say. When I told my brother about this, what I was proposing to do, he says, what is this? So much shortage of faculty in his university in North, funds you don't release, all those problems he was telling. But in any way, we have started it. It was a very simple thing. It's nothing innovative. It is, I will put it, what we should be doing otherwise. I requested our vice chancellors. We are part of, myself and Sunita, we are part of the executive council of the universities. We asked them simply to get the information professor-wise what academic activity he has done during the last year. Academic activity as per the standard pro forma given by the UGC, which is called Academic Performance Indicators, API. It took time. 2 months are already over. All the universities are still not started. But progress is being made. They have started coming. The corresponding next activity is to ask for the action plan of the professor for the coming 12 months, especially who have not done in number game. We are not going into quality. I am not competent to judge the quality. I do not want to go into the quality immediately. What they plan to do, how many seminars they want to conduct, how many papers they want to write, let them commit something and let them start thinking. Or he'll be forced to at least acknowledge that he wants to do something in the coming year. Some of them. So this we have started this year. I am confident that at least some of the faculty members will be doing much better than what they have done in the last year. Related activity, my father asked me, if you are asking them to research, are you giving them something extra? First thing. I said, professors anyway get much more. My father is 80-year-old, see, so he has crossed that stage, and he is critic of both sides, the academic and the bureaucracy also. I said, why does any professor require, or he is already getting that much salary? And I jokingly tell him the staff who much less research than what he has done in his field. So the next level is some kind of a recognition to the professors who are doing good research. We have started initiative named Inter-University Faculty Forum, wherein every month through video conference we request 2 selected professors or associate professors to present their papers which have been published last year before all the 20 universities in the state. The subject is decided at our level in consultation with few university professors. The selection of the paper is done by a committee comprising, decision will not be questioned. This is one way which we have thought some kind of a recognition will come to the professor who is committed and who is doing good work, and that can be a motivating factor for some other professors or assistant professors and also the students who will be attending this video conference. We have a video conferencing facility in all the districts and sub-district level offices. So approximately 20 to 30 people can sit in any video conferencing room. So that into 23, it's if I can put it, decent audience, academic audience for a good research paper. That is a motivation which we are presently thought of. We may think of some new things or modified things in the future also. We have started insisting, as Sunita said, on the institutions to go for NAC and NBA accreditation. Presently, all over the country, the NAC and NBA accreditation is approximately 10%. our state is not much different. 4-5% plus minus doesn't make us much different. That is one more step which we are emphasizing, which we are trying to motivate the institutions to go forward. Not because it is mandatory by Government of India, also because once we go through the NAC document, the NBA document, many of the institutes come to realize what they should be doing, what is required, and which they have not been doing till now. That itself is a learning exercise by which those institutions will improve even before applying for the NAC NBA. Then I come to the teaching discipline. We all know what teaching discipline is in many of the remote areas and other places. There is always a counter argument by both the sides, if I can put it. The teacher says the student is not interested, he is not academically oriented, the quality of the student is bad, how can I perform? If you talk to the student, he says the teacher is not interested, he doesn't come a few times. So it's a difficult situation. I have told two instances to the teachers. Maths is a difficult subject. I remember when I was a student in intermediate, we were not bothered about 75% attendance. We didn't know because normally our attendance was much more than that. All of us used to come from the cafeteria or just outside the college, run when the mathematics class used to be there. Difficult subject. It was all because of the teacher who used to teach us, the way he used to teach us, and he never referred to any book. Like we used to have chapters and all that. Besides his way of teaching, he had everything memorized. Which chapter, which question number, if you tell him, he can start on the blackboard. This was just part of his, this thing which appealed to us. But the way of his teaching and all that, we preferred to go to his class rather than sit in the cafeteria or be just outside loitering, which was this thing. The second which I tell of my own home, my son in second year professional course, last 2 years, I struggled to wake him up at 8 o'clock in the morning. For last 2 years I tried every day, about 200 days in a year when he has to go to his college. From 7:30 I start. With much difficulty he gets up at 8 o'clock. He has to leave by 8:15. Otherwise he'll be late. About 3 weeks back, one day I realized, I saw he has got up at 7:30 without my effort. Jokingly I asked him, where is he going today? Whether to college or to somewhere else he has plans. He said, no, I'm going to college. I said, but then why have you got up now? Why not at 8 o'clock? He says, no, now new teacher has come. He is strict. The teacher comes on time. I also have to be on time. Last 3 weeks, I have not wasted my half an hour in the morning waking him up. And this is a real thing which I am telling. My father also is surprised. So I told him last night, for this reason, because he was arguing on the other side for some initiative which Sunita has taken and which I was discussing with him. He was saying, no, this is wrong, you should not be blaming so much teachers. I said, this is what a teacher can do to your grandson. And the teacher has not spoken. By her conduct or discipline, it has come about. And I am very confident my son is not the only one. There must be at least 50% of the students in that class who must have been more regulated, now more disciplined. So, this one of the points which I will say that many of us have to be more than paid employees. I tell the Teachers Association when they come to me. to do something good, to innovate, to have some good practices. One of the reasons why our higher education has gone down, because many of the members of higher education fraternity have started taking their job as a paid employee. We have to get over and above that. We have to start inspiring, motivating students. In one meeting with the association members, I told them, how many teachers are there to whom 2 students come after the class, out of their class of 50, 60? Very few were able to say yes. Earlier it was not so. One question was asked to me in the morning before, what is the purpose of this workshop, seminar? Sir, I would, my experience about 20 years back, when I went for a workshop, I don't forget that. It was, I think, a 3-day visit to some outside country. After that, we were asked to fill up what we would be doing, taking back. We are all used to, we also wrote some 5-10 points that when we go back to our regular work, we will be doing these things. We came back, we were happy. After 6 months, we got a copy of that sent by the organizers. Nothing else. It was not asking us what we had done or whether we had pursued it or not. Only a copy of that, what we had given as our feedback or this thing action plan, was sent to us. See, that set us thinking once on, because what happens after we go back from here? We will be very motivated, talk well and all that, but some of us will think about it for 1 week, 2 weeks. We'll get back into our own what I call routine and manipulative work in our offices, and gradually that lesson, whatever is to be learned from here, will be lost. So when the letter came to us, at least I started thinking about it again, trying to again do something. So I will request, sir, if it is agreed and if it is found, just whatever are the lessons learned, besides taking individually, if some institutional kind of thing is there, just to send after 6 months without any, and maybe if it is repeated more, because after I think 8 or 9 months I was transferred from that department, so I don't know whether it came to after 1 year or not. So I'll be, say, last 6 months I have taken whatever I am doing, this 4 or 5 practices which I have mentioned. I learned it through these kind of conferences. I can feel I am satisfied for one reason. The last thing which I will tell now. I have been talking to whoever comes about quality, research, all those things. Yesterday evening I was very happy. The reason, one professor came to me, first time without any, if I can say, work which I could have done for him. He only came to me with 3 books which he had published during the last 2-3 years. He wanted to bring it to my notice, nothing else. Because once we start at our level, then the word goes around. And some people who are interested, who are working in that field, get at least, if I can say, some idea that they can also continue with that. Otherwise, if we don't ask for quality, who else will? So, first time after 6 months, a professor came only to brief me about the academic work. With this, sir, I'll only end by saying that teachers have a great role in the education sector. I'll not go into the other sectors. We have to take things from here and see how we can make our system better. Rest is all details. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Practices. We definitely will come up with your expectations in the coming year. Thank you very much, sir. So now we will move on to the first session.
Dr. Pani, the Principal Secretary of Education in Andhra Pradesh, Shri Ajay Mishra, Commissioner for Higher Education, Ms. Sunita, all the esteemed dignitaries, including the two Vice Chancellors on the dais, and all the invitees here today. I'm not sure what is the time that is allocated for me.
Schedule is 40 minutes followed by.
Okay. So I'll try and stick to this time schedule. Time now is about 11:05. So I'll try and see how to use this time better. I'll request Mr. Moses, is that your name? David, to probably keep it this side because it will otherwise obstruct the, yes, down possibly. It's not very often that you get to meet time and place. I'm very happy to be here with all of you. And what has been very pleasant is that I think this gives you a forum to share, to learn from each other, and I think it's in that spirit that I'd like to share some of the things we've done in Gujarat. And I'll be very happy if this next 35-40 minutes that we have is also made a little interactive, because I would like you all to participate, because I've been a great votary of a transition and paradigm from what is called passive teaching to active learning. And I think it will be very useful since you're all here, you have years of experience. It will be nice if you can also be involved in this. Right at the beginning, my question to all of you here is to show by a raise of the word lecturer. I've actually stopped using these two words in my vocabulary. In fact, jokingly in Gujarat, we say that we do a holy of these words. Holy meaning you burn these two words, lecturer and reader, because these were words which were used before the invention by Gutenberg. So it was somebody who had one copy of a book, and a reader was someone who would keep talking, reading the whole day. Now you're all professors. A professor is someone who professes, someone who innovates, someone who believes in something, someone who's committed to a set of values. So I would like to refrain from using these words lecturer and reader, but instead refer to you as people from different levels of being a professor. How many of you are of that category here? Assistant professors, associate professors, excellent. Is there anybody not connected with higher education here? Please raise your hand. I'm not sure I agree with you, because the very fact that you're here, you didn't parachute into whatever field you were in without passing through higher education. So I think all of us do have some thoughts, some views about higher education. So I presume this entire group here is directly, indirectly connected with higher education. On that note, can we do a small exercise with your groups? I'll give you probably exactly about 90 seconds. You'll have to, on the tables, wherever you're seated, can you do a quick listing out collectively of the problems that you face, that you complain about, that you face as you go to do your job as a principal, as an assistant professor, as an associate professor. I hope you all have a pad and a pencil there. I guess someone in each group will have to take up this role of leadership and jot down this. Would all of you like to participate in this? For about a minute and a half, not very long. Your time starts now. You're allowed to talk. It's okay if there's noise in the room. Nice to have some promotion in the class, no? Some involvement, some participation. Is there any group? Good. So that's an indicator. It means that you were all engaged. You decided to participate in this small exercise that we did. How many of you had less than 10 problems that you listed. Can you raise your hand? Around this side and right. You can turn the board this side. Good. So what we just did, friends, is an exercise called a problem census. Right? We have taken a quick problem census of what all you perceive as the various issues that afflict higher education. And who doesn't mean that we become little categories of people that have come across in higher education. I've been in education for some time now, so I can comfortably say that I belong to your fraternity. I've been in higher education for about 6 years, and then before that I've been in school education, and before that in primary. So I often jokingly say that I've graduated from primary to secondary to higher education, and I just hope I don't go to adult education. Right? So I feel I belong to you, and for several other reasons. As was mentioned in the CV, which was probably read out, I had emailed it. I also have had the privilege, and I consider it a very special experience of being like you. Not earlier on in my career. I started my career as a nuclear scientist. I used to work in Delhi. We have a particle accelerator there at an inter-university center for physics. But very late in life, very recently from now, and in fact, Dr. Nachiyar has just stepped out of school in Harvard University, and there I was given an opportunity to teach the students. I never taught anybody except my children at home, and this was an experience of teaching hardcore quantitative techniques, empirical methods to a class of postgraduate students. So I would get up with sincerity at about 4 in the morning, prepare my classes, do my homework well, and go to the class, and almost have butterflies in my stomach. I would feel I'm all blank, I don't know anything. But when the class would begin, and when I would see the chemistry that gets created, not because of me, but I think collectively, the whole group trying to create something, and then you'd see the eyes lighting up with that beautiful word called understanding. When students understand something, I think that was probably the best gift. It's not the 6th pay commission, it's not the money that one got. I just used to love it and walk out of my classroom 6 feet above the ground as if I had fulfilled my life's mission. And I envy all of you in a way, because I feel you're privileged to be where you are. Because, we're all from different cadres, different services, and you may think that it's all about power, material benefits and so on. That has a role, I don't deny it. But I think the fact that you're actually molding human minds, shaping human beings, nurturing them is, I think, something extraordinary. And right at the outset, I'd like you all to clap for yourself, because I think this is a great profession, a great avocation you're all in. And I'm going to start it. Now, having clapped and having acknowledged that we are placed here, we do have some questions, because I think we must and ask ourselves as to, are we really doing our best? Do we still have some more room, some scope to make a difference? And here again, I'll talk about 2 categories of academicians that I have been meeting. There's one category which are called demandos, and the other category called commandos. So what do the demandos do? I'm sure you're all educational leaders, your principals, your vice chancellors, your heads, you've come across both these categories of people. What do the demandos do? They come and complain ad nauseum. I can't do this because of this, that goes on. And what do the commandos do? Commando not in a sense of violence and taking an AK-47 and not that sense. But what does a commando do? By the strength of his character, by the strength of his authority, competence on the subject, by the sheer fact that he enjoys working with people, or she, there's no gender here, it's not a he or a she, but what do? We try and create, and we're able to transform the classroom into a place that's happening, that's brimming with life. It's not a dead, vegetative space, but actually it's a life space where something very, very special is being created, where you're jointly trying to explore and create some new knowledge through this little tool or this little character called curiosity. We are trying to encourage curiosity and help it happen. Now I thought of some few slides which I brought along, but then I feel that this would be inflicting too much on you, and I don't mean to do that, but I'll probably share the first slide of this presentation with you while it gets ready. It talks of some of the important dimensions of higher education, but while they get ready with that, I'd like to share a couple of things with you. How many of you have experimented in your classrooms, changing it from a typical classroom configuration where there are about, it could be 30, 40, 50, 60 people sitting, facing one faculty member. We don't use the word lecturer and reader, right? But using somebody who's standing in front of you. How many of you have tried that format where you have a class full of benches and they're all watching the teacher? How many of us have conventionally used these classrooms? I think all of us, right? Now in that mode, do you get to see the eyes of your other class fellows? Do you get to see their eyes? Do you get to talk to them? Do you get to see what they, if you're sitting in a typical classroom? Is it yes or is it no?
Yes, without eye contact we cannot teach.
That is for you. Now excellent, if you were to flip yourself and if you were to sit where your student is sitting in a classroom, does the student have the privilege that you have? Is the student able to have eye contact with others in the classroom other than you, who's in a center of power? Is it possible in a conventional classroom? No. One fact for your consideration is, can we flip the classroom, as they say? And this is possible, and it's happening in many countries of the world, especially in countries like Indonesia. In fact, the seating arrangement that we have in today's workshop is somewhat conducive to it. I would request those of you who would like to be innovative to go back and try this. The same classroom, even if it's benches, if you can just rearrange the benches so that they're facing each other, and so you organize them in groups. There could be a plenary session that, as the person who is regulating or ensuring that the discussion is on the right track, you're there, you give a plenary introduction to the topic. It could be in physics, it could be economics or whatever. But after that, if you gave them some work to do with some exercises which they had to read and come, and if they sat in groups and worked on it, and if you went and sat with each group as a facilitator, as a mentor, I think it would be something worth trying. I have a lot of expectations and I have a lot of faith. We have tried this out in Gujarat in many classrooms and we've seen some dramatic results. So this is being placed for your consideration. You may like to try this out and see how the dynamics of the classroom changes. If there's anybody who's a little more adventurous, I have one more suggestion before we proceed with these. Usually the chalk and blackboard is a symbol of, what is it a symbol of? A classroom, a teacher, but there's something more than that. I believe it's also a symbol of power, right? Can we empower our students, again by flipping the class? Can you have, in addition to the blackboard, which may be bigger in size, central, can you have a black ribbon of a board across the classroom? On the sides, can you have a blackboard on the walls? And each of these groups, for example, this group here, who wrote down all the points in this group that is right here just now for the problem census? Which of you wrote it down? In this group here, my question is to you. Which of you wrote it? What is your name? Excellent. So if Professor Limbagod is the rapporteur of this group, and suppose there was some topic in class to be discussed today, if you were to lead that whole discussion as a convener, and you had some blackboard space with you, and all of you could actually use a chalk, discuss it, create knowledge, understand, help each other, wouldn't it be something that you would enjoy? How many of you feel that this theoretically or on primary basis, prima facie, it does seem to have some merit in it. How many of you think this has some merit? I see a few hands going up, a few hesitant hands, now a few more confident hands maybe. So only those of you who feel there's some merit in it, thank you, Professor. I would like you to try this out if you feel you ought to. Now we go to the first slide here, which lists out some of the main dimensions of higher education. I'm not going to go into all of them, but there are several aspects of higher education. There is the ease, enrollment, excellence, and equality. Or worded otherwise, it can be referred to as access, achievement, and equity. Mishra was also present, and the principal secretary, the secretary MHRD2 and the entire team was feeling a little complacent and happy about the fact that we are now on the access front, we are reasonably okay. However, if you look at the enrollment ratios of countries like Australia, do you know what the ratio is? GER in a country like Australia? Anybody? Any guesses? Sorry? 70. Anybody else? 90. 82. Well, it's actually 100 plus. Now, it may cost you, how can it be 100? GER is a very simple ratio. It's the ratio the numerator has the total number of people who are in higher education institutions. And the denominator is the age group in the 18 to 23 age cohort. So it's likely that you have people other than this age group also coming to study. So it's not as if the 18 to 23 alone is the We have college festival. So this is a residual activity that happens in every college week on week. They have workshops, they have book readings, and each club is too much of Bollywood and what have you. So now slowly we're trying to see that there's some theme to it. There's some values that again Mishra Sahab and Sunita ji are a mahotsav. So the best of the college students, we just quickly rush to the next slide to show you a structure. That there's been a big vacuum for this in higher education. But today, it's not rare to have a university with as many as 500 colleges also which are affiliated. We do have instances in India of one university even having about 800, 900, but it's just a way of organizing them. You have 1032 colleges there. So we got them organized into clusters which were geographically contiguous. It didn't matter if it had a law college and an education college. The zones, and then CHE stands for the Commissionerate of Higher Education. KCG is a new body that we set up called the Knowledge Consortium Cell that probably has been set up here, which Sunita ji was just mentioning to me. And we also have the Gujarat Educational Innovations Commission. But what happened was because now we have this huge mass of people who are leaders. They lead and champion the change in their own respective domains. They talk to each other horizontally, regularly, across through all of these at the stroke of a button. And so the whole college setup is completely now sort of pre-in.
లైట్ వద్దని చెప్తున్నా కదా.
higher education జరుగుతుందని చాలా మంది అంటున్నారు. యాక్చువల్లీ లాట్ ఆఫ్ వర్క్ ఇస్ గోయింగ్ ఆన్. ఈ వర్క్ అంతా హైలైట్ చేసి అందరూ ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ని లెక్చరర్స్ని వాళ్ళు కొంచెం ఇన్స్పైర్ చేసి రేపు వాళ్ళ కాలేజెస్లో బెస్ట్ ప్రాక్టీసెస్ తీసుకోవడానికి సెమినార్ చేస్తారు. ఇప్పుడు వచ్చి మార్క్స్ స్ట్రెస్ చేస్తాను. యూనివర్సిటీలో ఉండాలి, వాళ్ళు చేసే రిసర్చ్ అంతా, వాళ్ళు యూనివర్సిటీస్ రిసర్చ్ అంతా కాలేజెస్లో వాళ్ళ పాస్ పర్సెంటేజెస్ అంటే వాళ్ళు చెప్పే సబ్జెక్ట్లో ఎట్లా ఉంది, వాళ్ళు కాంట్రాక్ట్ లెక్చర్ అయితే వాళ్ళు పాస్ పర్సెంటేజ్ బాగుంది, డిస్టెన్స్ కాంట్రాక్ట్ వాళ్ళు ఆ సంవత్సరం వాళ్ళు కాంట్రాక్ట్ తీసేస్తారు. సో వాళ్ళ దగ్గర ఉన్న క్లాసెస్ సరిగ్గా చెప్పి స్టూడెంట్స్ మీద వాళ్ళు కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ చేస్తే ఆడిట్ చేస్తాం. అంటే కాలేజ్ కళాశాలలో ఇండియాని లేవు వాళ్ళ విషయాలు ఒక గ్రూప్ వెళ్ళి వాళ్ళు ఆడిట్ చేసి ఇవన్నీ ఉంటే బాగుంటుంది అని చెప్తారు. స్టూడెంట్స్లో ఇలాంటి అవగాహన పెంచడానికి ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ తర్వాత యువతరంగా చెప్పేసి స్టేట్ లెవెల్లో
come from the educational background, and you have also had many of the initiatives which are being taken by all the governments, especially Government of India and Ministry of Education field, in the education field, to bring the new innovations. One of the common things which you have seen is that we have to share knowledge. And today knowledge is available at different places and it's not available at all the places. So it is very important to ensure for people like who are involved in the technology, how this knowledge which is available at centers of excellence to percolate to all levels of governments, all levels of educational institutions, to all people who are connected with governments and education. So the main challenge in this is to bring about a sort of a smooth or a unified propagation of knowledge into all the stakeholders who are connected with this knowledge management. So for this, what is the best vehicle? So the best vehicle is to bring in this knowledge which is available at all the centers of excellence to all the other places through a media which is very fast, which is very efficient, which can be accessed by everyone. And how to do this? The only way is to build in a sort of a knowledge highway. And this knowledge highway is nothing but the broadband. What is called the broadband. All of you must have been using the broadband today, and which is available as a commercial service today. But what is happening is this is having access to very few people in today's environment. Very few privileged people are having access to this broadband. But in order to see that this today's urban-rural divide, see most of these broadband facilities are available at the urban level to all the cities, to the city colleges which are there in the cities or the semi-urban areas, but it is not available at the rural level. So in order to do this, Government of India has started a new initiative called National Optical Fiber Network. So this optical fiber network, what it does and how it has been planned and what are the benefits of this NOFN and how this broadband can be brought up to the rural areas. How this architecture has been planned, I just want to share with you so that you are going to be the ultimate users of this network in the future. So you have to know what is this network and how to take advantage of this network. So a broadband which is available at a central place, it has to be brought down. The first thing is you have to bring this broadband access which is there up to the village level. So once you bring it up to the village panchayat level, a certain amount of knowledge. The second phase is from the village panchayat to the places where this knowledge is utilized. That is the public service institutions. Whether it is a government hospital or whether it is a college or whether it is an other agricultural office, whatever are the government offices are there, you have to connect this from the panchayat. The broadband has to percolate to the other government institutions which are there in the village. So the next part is, when once this goes to the institutional level, it also has to go to the villages and the villagers who are there. So this is the third phase, is how to bring this broadband to the village level and to the people who are not conversant with the technology. That means there are today only some 30 to 40% of us are accessing the know how to use a computer, how to get access of the broadband. But there are 70 people who are computer illiterate. How do we make those people involved in this broadband activity? Or how they can take advantage of these broadband services which will be made available? So the technology what has been developed is, first is to how to bring this broadband up to the village panchayat, and from the panchayat to the government institutions, and when once it comes to the government institutions, how even the computer illiterate people can take advantage of this broadband through technology from this. So there are three different initiatives have been started. technological development activities, and I want to share with them so that you can start utilizing these services or the products which are going to be made available from the government. The first one is next slide please. So basically, the main purpose of government starting this initiative is to see this governance of the government goes through the electronic media to all the villages. So next one please. So the governance is nothing but delivering the government services, exchanging information and communication and transactions. The government to consumer type of transactions, government to government transactions, government to business transactions also should be done through the broadband. That is the purpose. Next one please. So what are the things which you can do using these broadband services? What type of this one? First is e-education. All of you are aware. So much of knowledge is available at different centers, whether it is abroad with MIT or Stanford, or with our own IITs or with the institution of sciences. Whatever is the knowledge is there, how that can be brought to the village level. So that what should be the media? The best media is the broadband. How do we build this broadband network within the country, which will be very affordable and which is easily accessible at different places? Then the e-medicine, e-governance, and then entertainment. Entertainment is today the best media which can create enough business in this network. So that is another important this one. Managing the disaster services, managing the local broadcasting within the village communities, and then the security and surveillances. And for the places which are very important, how to do with the security and the surveillance of this in a remote way. That for that also this broadband can be utilized. Then of course video conferencing, which most of you are aware of it. Next one please. So the best advantage of this one is that this will have no boundaries. So you can sit at one place and see the total board. And then cut down unwanted interference, and there will not be too many layers, can reach the desired individual directly, and then can achieve corruption-free government. That is the best advantage of utilizing the broadband for governance is going to be that. Next one please. So basically, the government of India when they thought that the broadband is the best media to bring in this or to reduce this digital divide or the rural-urban divide. So the number of facilities which are there at the urban level, if you have to really bring that one to at the village level also, the best media is the broadband. How to do this? So first thing is, once this has been contemplated, they thought that we should build what is called the information highway. The way we have connected all the cities, this quadrangle, this one roadways are the National Highway Authority, how it has built the highways all over the country, thanks to the Atal Bihari Vajpayee's vision. Similarly, this government has a vision. How do we connect this knowledge network? How do we create a knowledge highway through which this information can pass through? So that's how this national optical fiber network is being contemplated. So the main element which will be used for this is the fiber, that the optical fiber. What the government wants to do is lay the optical fiber right from this national headquarters up to the state headquarters, from state headquarters to the district headquarters to the mandal level, and from mandal level how to connect the villages. So this is the way they want to bring in the sort of a national knowledge network or a national highway for information. So but presently, once you see these today, this broadband is available up to the district level. In some cases, it is available up to the taluk level also. So this information already the optical fiber this one was laid out by the existing the telecom service providers, either by BSNL or by the Railtel or by the Airtel, etc. They have already put this optical fiber up to the level of districts in most cases and up to the mandal level in 90% of the cases. But the only stumbling block is today the from the block level or from the taluk level or the mandal level, it is not connected up to the villages. So that's why this most of these governance things, whether it is for the information which has to flow for either for educational purposes or medicinal purposes or for any other purpose, is not circulating down from the mandal level to the village. That's how even today the rural sector is having a disadvantage. So what the government thought is, let me use whatever is the present network which is available up to the mandal level, so which is being controlled by either by BSNL or by the Railtel or by the Power Grid Corporation. We will utilize this optical fiber which is already there. But the main important thing is we have to connect the 250,000 villages which are there in this country from the mandal level to the villages up to this 250,000 level by the optical fiber. So with this, the network will be completed. So when once this has been contemplated, the first thing it was, when once we did a survey, it was understood that the optical, the broadband is available up to the mandal level, but from mandal level to the village, this one is the stumbling block if this broadband has to reach the villages. So for this national optical fiber network has been contemplated. That means 250,000 villages will be connected by this optical fiber. And when once we did a survey, if we have to connect these villages, on an average, every village has to be 3 kilometers of optical fiber has to be laid out. That means we have to invest or put 750,000 kilometers of optical fiber and then connect it with the electrical circuitry or electrical equipment which are required to bring the broadband to that place. So for this purpose, government has sanctioned around 25,000 crores of rupees, and they have an ambitious plan that within the next 12 months, all these 250,000 villages will be connected by this optical fiber network. For this, they have floated a separate company called Bharat Broadband Nigam Limited by taking advantage that already the fiber which is available up to the mandal level was laid out by 3 main government companies, that is the BSNL, Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, and Railtel Corporation and Power Grid Corporation. So what they made is, these 3 people, they made it as a sort of a consortium, and they have brought a special purpose vehicle called Bharat Brand Nigam Limited, and their network which is presently available up to the mandal level will be used, and from mandal level to the village level, we have to put around 750,000 kilometers of extra fiber. That activity has been handed over to this BBNL. BBNL has 3 partners of this BSNL and Power Grid and Railtel. They have been assigned this job of putting the 750,000 kilometers, extra kilometers of optical fiber, so that all the 250,000 village panchayats which are there in this country are connected by broadband. That is the purpose of this national optical fiber network, and 25,000 crores of money is going to be spent for this, and then within the next 12 months, all the 250,000 villages will be connected by this. And you may be wondering, so the government is saying so many new programs, and from where the money will come for this. Already I think money is not an issue for this program, because see, when it is first the wireless services have been introduced around 10 years back, most of these service providers, whether it is Airtel or the Tata Telecom or Aircel or whoever it is, all these people have been given a mandate that all the villages also have to be connected with wireless services. But most of these companies, being private sector people, they are more after business, because they found that the rural segment is not creating enough business. So they have not laid out this wireless network or the wireless services in all the villages. So but because they have failed in providing the mandated services which they have to give it to the rural people. So that's why government at that time itself thought that most of these people will not do for business reasons. So they have introduced what is called a universal service obligation fund. That means it is a sort of a fine for all these people who are not, able to meet the commitment what they have made that they will connect the villages. So that's why they have collected around 4